Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Ice is Still King webinar. We're thrilled that you've joined us today to find out a bit more about flooding with real ice instead of hot water. We've asked 4 ice makers who use real ice to sit on our virtual hot seat today to answer some what we think are tough questions. Who in our Zoom meeting has the reputation of having the best ice?
I have the best ice in Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
We have the only rink in Winston-Salem too, but I have the best.
I'm going to welcome Ryan Hobby to the hot seat. It's a family-run rink. It opened in 1972. Ryan is now the 3rd generation of that family to be running it. And they've had real ice since November of 2023, so not very long. But Ryan, you told me that you always had good ice before. So weren't you worried about losing your reputation by going to real ice?
Oh, of course. Of course. It's always scary doing something new, you know?
Well, it was. So what made you move forward?
Honestly, the Zoom call that we did, I don't know, it's a while ago now. But hearing all the guys that have been in the industry for a while now, hearing them back to real ice saying, hey, I would never, ever do it. I'd never do it. And then they eventually did do it, and it was only better. So
Wayne Bacon, you're next on the hot seat. He's been here before. He's the lead hand at Slave Lake's Multi-Rec Center in Slave Lake, Alberta. We're going to run a little video from there too. This is 2-year-old ice with real ice. It's sort of amazing. Like he sent me this video 2 weeks ago, or maybe a week and a half ago. And Wayne, you weren't very excited about putting real ice in at the beginning. I remember that. Were you worried about losing your reputation?
Yeah, that's pretty true. Being in the business for 35 years, and then you have something new comes into this system, and it's like, yeah, okay. Someone's just trying to sell something is what I'm thinking, right? But I'll tell you, I sure learned my lesson.
What was your lesson, Wayne?
perfect.
So bright, so clean, fast, everything. I mean, it's day to night, like you were saying before, it's really hard to teach, a dog new tricks. And I highly recommend that, we do teach old dogs new tricks.
Well, that's interesting.
Wayne.
Speaking of old dogs and new tricks,
right?
Paul Jackson.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Paul. That's sort of hard, isn't it? It's really, but bam,
Right?
it's harsh.
It was a good
Paul
segue
Jackson.
into it. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Paul was in the audience for our webinar last year, and now he's actually a presenter or a panelist. He's at a 4,000 seat arena, and thanks, Florian, for loading that image. That's something that Paul sent to me. You can actually see that shiny real ice for the guys that, and for the people that know what that looks like. But Paul, it's an event center and a hockey center. Weren't you nervous to be going to something new with real ice?
I live on the edge all the time, so not really. And when I read about it, it sounded really, really good. And we have been, our facilities manager has always been complaining about the high hot water bills. So it was his impetus actually that got us into this. And once we started, we put away our misting wand and used the handheld to put the ice down this year, not really realizing what it was going to be like. And what we said, well, we're going to give it a shot. A lot of skeptics, of course, and it worked out fine. Putting it in, the only difficulty we had this year, and maybe some of you have had this if you've had to take it out, we had problems taking it out because it was so hard and dense, different than previous years. But all season long, everybody was saying how hard the ice was. They just kept commenting about it, how the puck movement was really a lot better. This poor guy here with his bucket loader, I mean, he was I don't want to say it, but he was cursing, trying to get this ice out. It was so hard. Um, but, but we finally got it out, and but all year it's been really great, actually. And the other comment we had from the owners of the Thunderbirds was how the logos were able to be viewed all season. We used to have problems probably 3/4 of the way through the season where the logos just disappeared, or a lot of them disappeared. You couldn't really see what they were. This year, right to the very end, you could see them really, really well. So that was another good feature.
Thank you. Tim Morrison, I see that you're there, but you're on mute. How are you, Tim? So you've been using Real Ice for 2 years now at a municipal arena in the Greater Toronto area. Were you and your fellow operators nervous about, harming your reputation by going to Real Ice?
Yeah, no, I was a little nervous at first, but it went pretty smooth, to be honest. Like from the beginning, and yeah, it was a learning curve at first to see how it would actually take. But yeah, we've gotten through 2 years now with it.
So was it a big change going from hot water to, what are you running at for temperature there, Tim, when your ice is in?
Typically 60 to 65 was around the temperature that we were using.
Paul Jackson, what do you have to say? Was it a big change going from hot water to Real Ice?
But no, it really wasn't. I think we had a lot of skeptics. If there was a problem, that was it. It was the skeptics. And we had one guy who just so insisted on hot water, and he finally became a believer, but it took him all season to finally realize that, something is actually working. But that was really the only issue we had. I mean, as far as changing things, we really didn't. We could see the ice was setting up. It seemed to set up a whole lot quicker than when we were using hot water. That's part of the process, I guess. But no, it was no problems whatsoever.
One of the gut reactions that we often hear when we get people complaining that the water isn't setting up fast enough is they will reduce their temperatures instead of looking at how thick their ice is. Is that something that you've encountered?
We always check. We keep it about 1.5 inches everywhere. So it's not, we just don't have that problem. Don't measure as often. We measure 3 times a week just to make sure. So I don't know if other rinks do that or not.
Well, Wayne Bacon, you guys measure quite a bit, don't you?
Every day. Yep.
Oh,
Every day.
Yep.
Why is that, Wayne? That's a little extreme, isn't it?
No, because I have nothing to do with any of the ice making, so you got to do something, right?
There you go. Stay awake, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you actually seen that you can do less maintenance now with your ice than before?
100%. Like I say, I get so bored, I just run the edger around for something to do.
Oh, come on. Nobody
Yeah.
will believe you.
Well, you know it because I tell you it all the time. I'm pretty bored. I usually do the rink sides about once a month.
You run your edger now about once a month?
Yep.
What were you doing before your hot water, before you switched to Real Ice from hot water?
Twice a week.
Come on.
Yep.
How thick are you keeping your ice?
Right now it's 1.25 inches everywhere. Yeah.
And how much warmer are you really running your ice? Are you set on brine or are you on slab?
I was running at 16 and 17. Now I'm 23 on both sides.
23 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
So from 16, 17 up to 23. Come on, that's more than I have in my calculation tool.
That's right.
Is that ice temperature or slab temperature, Wayne?
You guys in the back.
So that'd be the ice temperature.
Oh, the ice temperature. Okay.
And the slab too. Yeah, they run both the same.
Really?
Yeah. And I did a few things here just to let Pauline know that out of that treaty tournament that we had, there was 98 floods in 3.5 days, and the compressor only ran for 26 hours.
So that's pretty amazing. One of the things that I wanted to talk about with Wayne, with what he's doing or what they accomplished up there, is that they are now running an annual Treaty 8 tournament, which is for adult skaters. And it starts on a Friday night and it ends on Sunday. So you got Friday, it's 2.5 days.
No, it started on a Thursday till a
Oh, it
Sunday
starts
night.
on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all of those floods, all of those adult players, did you ever need to have somebody go out onto your ice and do any patching?
Never. No. You know, and you say something like that. I got a junior guys that come here and a coach. And that's one thing he says, you know, from the old days, he said, we used to chop it up like crazy. He says, now we don't even chop it up. We can't even hardly scar it. And I said, I know. But yeah, no, I didn't have any problems whatsoever with the ice. Not a thing.
Okay,
And that's every hour.
how much snow are you taking off when you're doing an ice make? How much of a bucket?
When we're flooding,
Yeah.
maybe a quarter.
Okay. Bobby, you're on a sand floor, but you're not running so thick, are you? As typical sand floors.
Yeah, we're about 1.5 inches like everyone else.
Well, but that's not everybody else running on sand.
Oh, well, we try to keep it 1.5 inches for sure. Right
Okay.
around there.
Really good. And has anything changed for you regarding the maintenance?
I mean, probably it's less edging, I would say. The corners, they seem to last a little. Obviously, the corners get high, most often. But it seems to last longer, especially we got a bunch of new guys working here too. So they like to not edge at night. So I'm on them, but it definitely seems to last much longer than if we were using the hot water the old way.
So are you following our best practices?
I am. I don't know if my drivers are.
There are best practices. We say avoid trickle filling, keep your blade sharp, shave with each flood, don't just pick up the snow. We also say build in an early morning drive shave into your routine. That's something that you do, isn't it, Ryan?
It depends. So some mornings we have guys on the ice at like 4 a.m. before school lessons and stuff. So you can pretty much bet that I'm not coming and doing a dry cut those mornings, but pretty much the other days, yes, I do a dry cut, and then get to business as usual.
And I'm going to ask you, they say that good ice is all about good ice maintenance, and has that changed for you?
The edging, as everybody's mentioned, we do less edging right now. The maintenance, actually, we didn't have any problems this year whatsoever in the interior ice. The edges, we have a problem with our refrigeration system. It's not the ice itself, but we've had to pack the edges. But no, we do routine maintenance, edging probably twice a week, if that. It's just held up really, really well this year. We had a bunch of engineers in the fall that we were explaining this to them, and they thought it was just the neatest idea coming up with this. And of course, we told them about using our self-leveling water, which they really liked. They really liked that idea. So,
but Paul, you're also a referee, so you skate on that ice.
Yep.
What is the difference between that and?
It's a lot harder, and like I said, the puck movement is a lot better than it used to be. The puck movement is. Everybody has mentioned that, just about how good it is. And of course, the smell of the building has changed.
What do you mean?
It's got a fresh Febreze smell to it now. It just smells different. Everybody's commented, all the fans that come in, first thing they mention is about the smell. Yep.
Carolina, if you had a second facility, like in Canada, we have 26 repeat customers. They're all municipalities, I think. No, we've got a couple that are private, but would you be a repeat customer?
Oh yeah. Yep. And we're trying to get some of the other rinks around here. they've asked me about it, and then they're still, they're still skeptical. They just think, oh, you got to have hot water. You got to. There's just no way. But actually, they've come and skated on it, and the figure skaters too have remarked about how hard it is. So no problems whatsoever with that.
Okay, with figure skaters, do you see a difference in the blowouts?
Yeah, they're not as deep as they used to be. We still have the ice pickers, and I think if you have figure skaters, you know what they are, the ones that just keep picking at the ice. They're always out in the center, just picking away. And that's still been it's worked really well with getting the ice back in shape again. The only problem we have is with the Thunderbirds, and I'm sure those of you who have pro teams, they do these drills that just wreck the ice. I mean, they just go round and round and round and round for half an hour. And it takes a couple of zams to get it right back to the way it was. But again, no problems, no problem. We expect that, but it was really no problems at all.
Welcome. Paul, what would you say to her being with the Bruins practice facility? What would you say would be her risks?
I wouldn't say there'd really be any. I think it's just the upside to it. I mean, I can't think of one. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to talk to the Wake Performance Center down where the Hurricanes practice. But again, I think it's just a hot water thing. It's a hot water barrier that goes up every time you mention it. Like, oh, you just can't get it. And I think after seeing it for a year here, and we had some come down from PNC Arena where the Hurricanes play and actually saw it, and they were impressed. So I don't know if it's just going to take a matter of time with the right people, but it works.
So I'm going to go back to Ryan and ask him about the process from installation to making ice with real ice. How is that? And did you feel that you got adequate or enough support from real ice to be able to do it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you guys, anytime I'd reach out, you're right there, 5 minutes later or right away. We don't have the luxury of taking the ice completely out just because we are year round. So I did get it. I brought it down to about an inch. And then from there, we just built it back up that other half inch. And then, yeah, I mean, there was no issues putting it in. I think Paul might have mentioned the plumbing. We did have to put a water booster because we're using more cold water, obviously, downstairs because our pipe I think we only have an inch pipe leading to the back. So we're old school barn. Our compressors are actually below the floor. And that's basically where the water's coming from too. So it runs the entire length of the rink. So when we were using hot water, we'd have to put the temperature higher. So by the time it does get to the back, it's 160. But now that we're using real ice, that's not a problem. Hard water. So that was another reason that it took a little while to kind of see if we were going to do this or not. The hard water has no issue with the ice or nothing. We did have the mixing valve, so that was slowing down the pressure that we were getting. So I told the guys, I initially took out the valve that you could actually mix with. That helped. And then I just had the guys rip it out and then just hard pipe it right to the actual real ice unit. And then it was fine from there. So now we can just actually use the valves to kill the hot water and, kind of mess with it that way.
So if it gets really cold outside, but you're on Long Island, it doesn't get so cold there, does it?
It gets fairly cold, and our ZAM room doesn't really have heat in there. So that room does get a little chilly, but we have, like a wire heater we kind of wrap the pipe with just so it doesn't freeze.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. But I'm saying your operators, are they playing with the system? Are they running with
no.
hot? No.
I set it. And then where it's at, we're probably laying down, I'd say between 70 and 75 degree water right now.
Okay. And what were you running at with hot water?
Oh, shoot. It was probably set to like 185 downstairs. And by the time I got to the back, it was probably like 160.
Okay, well, that's really hot water. So you talked about your hardness and you've seen an improvement in your hardness with your real ice.
Is for the slab?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the-
yeah. Oh, well, yeah, so prior to putting in the real ice, I'd have to take off the floodwater pipe on the ZAM, and I'd have to like knock it out because there'd be a bunch of calcium buildup that due to the hard water. So I was concerned about putting it in, and if the hard water would have a bad mix with the unit itself. But actually whatever the last time we had the Zoom call, it might have been Wayne. Somebody said they also had hard water. I forget who it was, but they said it was no issue, and then it was like, screw it, let's give it a try, and it has been no issue at all. And I've actually noticed there's less calcium buildup, if any, really.
Yeah, well, we do have an impact on the calc that's in the water. We don't remove anything. We're not a filter. That system doesn't filter anything out, but it does crystallize it so that they don't cling to each other. And you'll typically see it on your machine that you don't get that white powder buildup, that calciness, but also with your spreader bar. That's exactly it, like what Ryan is talking about. You don't need to knock that calc out anymore and, keep on going, or have uneven spraying with your toolbar anymore, because you've got some holes that are clogged up with the calc. So
Yeah.
yay, it's another win. So something negative? Do you have something negative to tell me?
No, I mean, the only, if it is a negative, it would be it just takes a little bit to kind of figure out what temperature you want to try and run it at. I mean, I wouldn't call that a negative. That's more of like a testing process. Right now I have it set to 22. It's just getting a little warmer out. I was in the winter, it was 23. So with our system, we are super old school. We still have old Honeywell switches. I mean, we're still R22 right now. So that's a whole nother issue we're dealing with. But we have a 2-degree differential, but with our system, we kind of figured out it probably gets to, being that set to 23, it probably gets to right about 25-ish, maybe a little warmer, and then the compressors kick on. So I've dropped it to 22, meaning that it's getting a little warmer. I don't know about any other places where you guys live, but the weather's been kind of crazy. You get a beautiful day, and then it drops back down to like 60. So I don't want to mess with it too much right now, but in the dead of summer, I'll probably, typically with the hot water, it would be like 18, 19. I still have to play with it. It'll be the first kind of summer that we're dealing with this, but I assume I could, definitely keep it warmer than that.
Okay, and Ryan, what were you running at before?
In the dead of summer, it'd be, like I said, it'd probably be around 18, 19. We drop it fairly low.
Okay, and in the winter time, what were you, before you put in the real ice? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, in the winter. It was probably, I'd say, probably around, shoot, you know what? It'd definitely be 21-ish, probably around there.
I don't know. When I was there, I went to visit his arena in November of 23, and I think that was like a month into it, and you were up to 21 and you had been at 17. So, but those are old Honeywell controls that do have a 2-degree differential on it. Most arenas aren't with that kind of super old analog technology, but there are a lot of them still in there. So is the ice still king at your arena?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about your arena. How busy is it? What do you got going on there?
I mean, we have, like I said, we're year round. We have everything from high school to men's league. We have our in-house travel league, our team, the Royals. I mean, we're pretty busy all year round. No big name teams, no NHLers, or this was the little claim to fame. This was the first Islanders practice facility. But other than that, it's just typical it's mostly youth hockey.
on the ice again, right? So, you know, it really does, if you take the time to do the flood and you drive consistently, the water just kind of smooths it right out, right? It'll fill in all those cracks or the skate marks that the players leave behind, kind of thing. So
Changing your blade once a week? How often?
we're about probably 1 to 2 weeks, around 200 floods or so.
Okay. And for you, Wayne, is ice still the king in your arena?
Oh, 100%. You know, I just talked with, like I said, I was talking to you about those people from Grand Prairie when the old timers went to this tournament, and they were talking to him. That's that guy that came up and wanted to know more about the real ice. So I don't know if you've heard from him yet, but yeah, they're pretty amazed. Even like the out of town teamers. We have a summer league now, and there's about 4 teams, I believe. They come from out of town, and it's the first thing they say. Wow, the size, like, you know, and the coaches, the puck goes too fast. They're not used to it. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So what would you tell someone who is, you know, on the fence and a little bit nervous about losing their reputation for trying something that is completely opposite to the hot water floods that they've been doing before in terms of cold ice temperatures and the temperature of the water?
I mean, if you're on the fence, then you're definitely thinking about it. I would say just go ahead and do it. There's really no negatives. You're going to save money. You get the rebates, and then just an overhead. Or like, I think our first bill after it was in, I think it was almost cut in half. My boss said, which is awesome. You know, like Wayne was saying, the compressors, you know, run pretty much, it's like half the time. It's there's really no negatives in my opinion.
You can always hit us up on the website. You can find toll-free numbers to call. I'm Colleen at realice.ca or Colleen at realice.us. Throw your questions at us, ask us for a rink savings estimate, and we can also check around and see if your utility has got money that they want to throw your way. There you go.